This is my video and I can do whatever I want. This book, I think, is my new favorite of the year thus far. Eek, I'm scared. The plants are in control, not me. I'm living in a botanical orphanage. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and happy June, happy summer. It is actually 40 degrees where I live and freezing today, but I'm inside, so I'm pretending it's summer, and I hope you are enjoying some nice summer weather wherever it is that you are. Today's video theme is just reading books with pretty covers. That's it. That's the whole concept. So I'm going to be reading two physical books. Death Valley by Melissa Broder, which is about a woman that goes into the desert when she's dealing with some hard stuff. Her father is, I think, on life support, and her husband is also chronically ill, so she's going on a little trip to escape reality for a minute. And when she goes hiking in the desert, she finds this giant cactus and she goes inside of it, and some weird things are gonna happen. I also have You Must Not Miss by Katrina Leno, which is a kind of horror magical realism situation. I love this cover. This is young adult. We're following this girly. Her life is tough, but she has been working on inventing this like imaginary world in her notebook in her free time to kind of escape reality. And she eventually finds a portal that she can enter, and it takes her into this world, but all is not as it seems, and I'm sure things are gonna get super dark in here. This cover in particular is stunning. And then I'm also going to be listening to an audiobook with a cover that I absolutely love, which is They're Going to Love You. This is following a dancer kind of throughout her entire life, from like very young childhood to modern day. We follow her father, who is gay, through kind of the beginning of the AIDS crisis in her childhood. And then now I believe her father is dying, not from AIDS, but just from being old. And so she's kind of reflecting on their relationship as well. This is just a lit fic, and I think it's going to be beautifully written. So I'm super excited to get into all of these. And I don't have anything else to say for this intro, so let's get started with the video. Hello friends, time for the first update of this video. I am 100 pages into You Must Not Miss. I wish I had better news. I don't like this so far, and it's not that it's young adult. Like, I knew that it was young adult going in, and I like weird kind of like horror tinged magical realism, and that's what this is. And I just want to hold this up for you actually, so you can like fully enjoy the cover with me really quick. The issue I'm having is like we're just getting a ton of backstory that I don't really care about, because it says on the back like she's having problems with her mom, her mom's an alcoholic, her dad like cheated on her mom and left, she's having trouble at school with her friends, like whatever. I already knew all of that from 4 sentences on the back of the book, and that's all we learned in the first 100 pages here. So she has not even entered her world, or she has, but like we didn't get any details about it. We just got it when she was like back from it the next morning, and she's like, oh, it felt like a dream, and that's all that's happened so far. And I just like don't care is the thing. I need this to be more engrossing if I'm gonna finish it. So I'm gonna give it another maybe like 50 pages to page like 150, yeah. And if it's still not good, I'm gonna DNF it, which I don't do. But frankly, my life is about to get busy, okay? I'm about to go back to my waitressing job. Eek, I'm scared. This video is probably going to go up actually after my first day back, which makes me really nervous. I'm excited to go back. Like, I love everyone that I work with, but like I just don't like being a waitress. But it makes really good money because we live in a super touristy town, and tourist season starts like this week, which means tips are great, business is booming, I'm making a lot of money, which is so fun and so good, but like I don't want to go back. I'm not going back full time. Up until the point when I pretty much quit my job last year, I was working full time. And I had my second job as well, my teaching job. So I was working, you know, like 14-hour days. It was insane. So I'm going back 3 days a week, and I'm not working at the dance studio on days that I'm waitressing. So it's gonna be like nice and split. I'm gonna make some extra money. It's gonna be really peaceful, hopefully. And if I end up like not being able to handle it, the thing is I've quit before. I can quit again. You know what I mean? Sorry, that's off topic. I'm gonna try to read more of this tonight. I think I'm gonna pop in and talk to you guys about another book that I'm reading not for this video. So I'll see you in a second with that, because I forgot to pick it up before I came over here to chat. This book is not part of this video. Obviously, this is the actual ugliest cover I think I've ever seen in my life. But I just wanted to talk to you guys about this because this is my mom's book of the month pick, like whatever month this came out. And she gave it to me and she was like, you should read it. So I was like, okay, so I'm reading it. And y'all, I am still like 150 pages from the end, and I like guaranteed absolutely know who the murderer is, but like I've already committed 170 pages of my time to this, so I'm like, should I just finish it? Like, I have less left than I've read thus far, but I absolutely guarantee like have the whole thing figured out. I promise you. And this is the thing about mystery novels, and I'm sorry that this is just like a random rant that has absolutely nothing to do with this video, but I just feel like someone needs to air these concerns, right? So my issue with mystery novels like this is that you have to include a more diverse cast of characters for suspects, because I'm not gonna think that it's the obvious option. And there's two like very obvious options of like who the police think the killer should be, but it's obviously not gonna be them because there's gonna be a plot twist. But like, you have to have more than one other character in the entire cast that it could be, because if I eliminate the two obvious suspects and the two suspects that they've already cleared, there's only one other person mentioned in the entire text that's not like a cop. And why are there 4 cops in this book? I know that this is the 3rd book in a series as well, but that's besides the point, okay? I'm just irritated. So I'm gonna check in with you, even though, again, this is not part of this vlog. This is my video, and I can do whatever I want. So we're gonna talk about this when I finish it, and I'm gonna tell you how right I was, okay? Okay. In other news, I'm starting to crochet this granny square like sweater vest pattern that I saw on Instagram. It's really cute and it looks really easy to replicate. I think, okay, the pattern I saw on Instagram, she like changed colors every single like time around the square, but I think that I'm just gonna do like green for the front and then either like a white or a brown for the back so that I can wear it like both ways depending on the fit for the day, you know what I mean? This is definitely more of a fall thing, but like it looked really easy and I've been desperate for some sort of new pattern, and this is that. So I'll be working on this all week throughout this video. And then also I've just been updating my reading journal a little bit. I initially at the beginning of the year like set up a bullet journal pretty extensively, like stickers, colors, markers, and this happens every single year where I get like halfway through the year-ish and then I just don't have energy to create any new spreads, or I don't care to create any new spreads, and then I always switch over to just like lined paper because it's just so much easier. So I've just been doing like general stats tracking in here, and then I just like write stream of consciousness stuff, and this works so much better for me, and it also keeps me way more engaged and it's much easier for me to use. So like I have like sprawling pages of things, and I just think that as much as I want to be like a cute aesthetic journal girly, I just don't think I can do it because I don't have the energy, or maybe it's like creative passion that the people who bullet journal very heavily every month have. Like I'm just not cutesy artsy like that. You know what I mean? So since I've started this, I'll try to include some footage of both this and this in this week's video because I feel like that's really aesthetically pleasing and whatnot. Friends, good morning. I'm gonna not lie to you. It has been 4 days since we last talked. I only read one of those last 4 days, and it was to like force myself to finish this, and I'm just so sad because I thought I was gonna love this. Like it's gorgeous and it seemed like it was gonna check all of my boxes, and instead I just felt like this was a dumpster fire. Like I did not like this at all. I gave it 2 stars just because the writing itself was pleasing. There was like variation in the sentence structure. There was relatively, no, I'm not even gonna say the pacing was good because it was awful. Let's talk. This imaginary world, I was under the impression that like things from this imaginary, or I guess it's not imaginary, but this kind of magical world were going to slowly like leak out of the portal kind of like into her real life, and that's where the problems were going to happen. But instead it just turns into kind of her abuse of power and being a hypocrite about bad things in the world, because she herself just starts using her world for nefarious things, and I just felt so disappointed. Also, nothing happens for the first like almost 200 pages, I want to say, and now I'm going to spoil this book, so skip ahead. There's timestamps. Find the next one if you don't want to be spoiled. Basically, this girly decides to drop out of school because she doesn't go to class and she doesn't turn anything in and she's just angry at the world. So she decides that she's just gonna quit school and she's never gonna go back. But then randomly 2 weeks after quitting school, she goes back to the school and she like uses her magical world to transport her English teacher and murder him, even though he literally did nothing. She just randomly one morning wakes up and she's like, I wonder what would happen if I just like murdered someone. So she just like decides that her English teacher is gonna be the target and she just goes and kills him in her world. And then when she realizes that that's successful, she goes kind of on a killing spree and just randomly starts forcing people through her little portal door and murdering them. And then the book is over. And I think there's also a bit of a random and very poorly discussed assault in here. And like, it just felt so unedited, maybe is the word that I'm looking for. Like the entire time I was reading this, the only thought that was going through my brain was, where was the editor? Where was she or he or them, whatever? Where were they? Where was this editor? Because this was awful. I'm sorry. I know that people like this book and I just like for the life of me don't understand. I don't understand why. Because I love weird books, but this was just so bad. It put me in a reading slump and thus I have not read anything for 4 days and I was just putting off talking to you about this because I just didn't want to talk about it. But I also finished, and I think this is also contributing to the reading slump. I know, again, like this book isn't part of this video, but I just want to say I finished this. It was bad. I gave it 2 stars. It was absolutely, I was correct in my prediction. And then I was just waiting for the next 200 pages for the detectives to figure it out. And also, can I just say, did you guys see me just hit my head with this book? It reminds me of, I'm sure y'all have seen the video if you like Taylor Swift, but when she is at the concert where she accidentally hit herself in the head with the golf club, like she's twirling it and she hits herself in the head. Fun fact, that was the concert that I was at. Insane. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this. I just wanted to say, I feel weird reading an adult detective novel about 15-year-old girls. And like, there's a perspective of a 15-year-old girl in here. So I almost like, it made me feel weird. It made me feel uncomfortable. There's like a random scene at the end of this book where obviously we're following like a married couple detective pair in this one. They're like boning out. And then the next chapter is from this 15-year-old girl. And I'm like, what is this? What is this trying to do? What is this trying to be? I don't know. It made me feel uncomfortable. And I also just think that Book of the Month is like really not cool for picking a 3rd book in the series and then like not telling people that this was a series because nobody even, like, this series didn't really have a readership, you know what I mean? So people like weren't aware, right? And I think that Book of the Month just did its subscribership a little bit dirty by not mentioning that, because a lot of people picked this book and then right at the front it's like Black Harbor number 3, but everyone didn't know that. So I also just felt like I had a sense that there was something missing, that I was missing inherent details of who these characters were, and there was like references to the past. And also this book spoils book 1 in the series. So if you had picked this and you would realize it's book 3 and you're like, okay, well, I'll just read this and I'll work backwards. Well, now you don't want to anymore. Anyway, 2 stars in a row is unfortunate, to say the least. I don't want to talk about these 2 books anymore, so hopefully this doesn't like signify that this video is cursed, because that would make me so sad. Friends, hello. It's been a couple hours and I have such good news for you. I am obsessed with this. I've been annotating it from like page 8. I could tell that this was going to be a 5-star. It is witty and dry, but also talking about really intense topics surrounding death and grieving before death when you know that death is imminent, and also just understanding death for yourself as well as your loved ones. So there's kind of a bit of a pun in the title here, even if that pun itself is a little bit dark, but I'm loving this. Oh my god, I don't even know how to explain. So I'm like 150 pages in, so I guess I'm a little over halfway, but the conversations that she has in here in the dialogue, like her internal monologue, is so funny. Who would I recommend this to thus far? People that like plants, because this woman is a plant lover, okay? And she's talking about how she keeps buying plants and she has to like rotate places around her town so they don't think she's crazy and going in too often. Okay, so here's the quote where she's talking about rotating her nursery. So she says, "But recently it finally clicked that they're living things, not just decorative objects. Surprise, they really do need sunlight and water. Now I can't stop buying them. I have to rotate plant shops out of shame, the way I used to rotate liquor stores. My house is filled with dozens of demanding, young, needy asshole plants. The plants are in control, not me. I'm living in a botanical orphanage." And she's also kind of having a, I don't want to say a spirituality crisis, but she is just trying to be spiritual in this trying time. But she's not normally a spiritual person, so she's having a lot of conversations with herself about what can she take away from spirituality. Is she allowed to be spiritual in this time since she's normally not? And the magical realism element is different than I thought it was going to be, but mild enough that it adds a lot to the story, and I'm just obsessed. So anyway, I'm going to take a break from this. I'm either going to go on a walk right now or a run. If I run, I'll go outside, but it's kind of cold outside, so I'm thinking I'm going to just walk on the treadmill and watch. I started watching Lock and Key. It's like not that good, but here's the deal, friends. I'm obsessed with Bridgerton, even though I know that like this new season is not that good, right? And I have a like romance vlog that I'm dedicating to Bridgerton, but I believe that my Bridgerton vlog is supposed to go up the week that the new season, like, or the second half of the season comes out. And I also recently finished Under the Bridge, which is the Hulu kind of, it's not really a docu-series, but it's like based on the real events of, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's about a murder that happened in somewhere in Canada, and this author and her involvement in writing a book about it. And that was really good. It had Riley Keough in it as the main girly, and she's the lady that plays Daisy in Daisy Jones and the Six, and I really enjoy her as an actress, so I just finished that. And now I have no idea what I'm watching, so I started watching Lock and Key on Netflix. Anyway, I only watched like half of the first episode so far, so I think I'm just gonna go in, watch that, and walk like 4 or 5 miles. That's my plan. I'll check in with you later. Hello, editing me here. I realized I talked to you about my crochet project at the beginning of this video. I said I was going to update you on it, and then I didn't do that throughout the entire video. So I am inserting here the update that I said I would give you that I didn't give you, okay? So I'm changing my pattern just a little bit. I finished the back panel, which didn't take very long, because if y'all know anything about crocheting, you know that like granny square is like one of the fastest things you can do. So anyway, this is going to be the back panel. Obviously it still needs to be wet blocked, like it's a little bit funky looking right now because it's been just sitting on my couch, but this is going to be the back panel. And then instead of doing like mirroring this for the front panel, just like a straight ribbed front panel, so it's going to look like this, okay? So that way I can wear this as like a summer tank top situation, and then I'll just put on some like blocky, chunky tank top straps, and then I can have like an open back and then like a closed front, and it's gonna be so cute and so fun. So whatever the next video is, I'm sure you can enjoy seeing me model that for you. I also am going to insert right now footage of my reading journal because it is June. This video is going up I think on June 2nd. So I'm updating my reading journal with my May stats. I'll go ahead and just like pop a clip in right now of me talking you through my like main stats page. We can also just talk about some other stats I had from the month, like Storygraph wise, since I'm not doing wrap-ups anymore. That might be fun to insert here as well. Okay, so by no means is my reading journal perfect. It's definitely not, but basically what I do is I keep track of any 5-star books on this page. I keep track of how many books I read a month, I keep track of average rating, and I keep track of physical versus audio. I count ebooks and print books as the same thing because those are both things that I read like with my eyeballs. So ebooks are included under that like print section, and then audiobooks obviously are just audiobooks. So that's kind of what my overview looks like. Okay, to conclude this little update, I thought we could just go through my Storygraph stats really quickly. So, I read 23 books this month, pretty good. My top moods were emotional, dark, tense, and mysterious, but what's new? Mostly medium-paced books, that's pretty average for me. Most books 300 to 500 pages, that's also pretty average for me, although I do love short books. I only read fiction this month, which I feel kind of guilty about, but sometimes a girly just needs a break from nonfiction, you know? My top genres were contemporary, thriller, and mystery, and romance, because I'm doing that Bridgerton video, which should be up in 2 weekends from now. But again, this looks pretty average to me. The romance I think is a little bit higher than normal, but otherwise that's a pretty average spread of genres for the month. And star ratings, and the last little clip is just how many pages I read every day, which I always think is kind of fun to look at, but I feel like y'all don't really care about that. So anyway, let's get back to this video. Hello, good morning. I have wonderful news. I'm giving this 5 stars. I'm obsessed. I don't know if this is actually like one of the best things I've read all year, or if it just seems that way because the 2 books I read before this were so terrible, but this is doing something so special and I love it. And I understand why people don't like this because it does get a little unhinged. Like I would say the last third of the book maybe, or even just the last 50 pages are, they go off the wall a little bit. It's kind of hard to talk about the end without really spoiling anything because one of the major plot points like isn't mentioned in the synopsis, and I don't want to really give away where the story ends up going, but I loved the writing style of this. It goes off on these kind of funny, dry tangents, and it's just done in such a good way. Like this writing style, the storytelling was just the kind of thing that perfectly applies to what I love in books. And I had so much fun reading this. I had so much fun annotating this. This is also very short, 220 pages. I flew through it. Obsessed. I could not recommend this enough, except I would just say be wary going in that, again, it is a kind of very dry and unhinged exploration of dying and grieving and coming to terms with the difficulties we have feeling attachment to people or wanting to feel attachment to people as they're dying. And yeah, I just thought that this was a really interesting exploration of those topics, and I'm so grateful that I loved this because I had such a good feeling about it, and I was right. I can trust my reading taste. Crazy. I have also started They're Going to Love You this morning. I'm like 20% in, and this book, again, has this really nice literary feel. There are certain books in litfic that are just narrated in the perfect way and make you feel like you're fully engrossed in the story, and I just love the exploration that this is doing of the dance world and parents' relationships with their children. This book is not set in the dance world, but our characters are dancers. I don't know if that really makes sense. So our main character, our narrator of the story, Carlisle, is a contemporary ballerina in like modern day times. She choreographs kind of interpretations of classical pieces, but she makes them weird, and I love that for her. And she's talking about her mother's journey as a kind of traditional ballerina, and then her father's journey as a like short-lived ballerina. The story isn't about ballet. The best way I can explain this is like if we were reading a literary fiction where we were following a line of family members that were involved in the medical field, the book doesn't have to be about hospitals, right? So that's kind of the best comparison that I can give. So dance is kind of a like border to what's actually going on in the story, but again, I'm only 20% in, so I don't have a ton to actually say about that. So I'll check in with you once I'm like a little farther in. It's a beautiful day outside today, so I think I'm just gonna go read something not for this video in the sun for a good long while, and then I'm gonna go to work, and I'll probably talk to you tonight, I would imagine. Friends, hello, good morning, welcome. It's been 2 days since we last talked. I'm sorry about that, but life was a little crazy. I didn't end up getting home from work after I said I would update you again on They're Going to Love You until like super late that night. So no lighting, didn't talk to you. Then yesterday I went back to my waitressing job and overall it was good. It was so nice to be back and like already know what I'm doing. It's easy to go back to a job that you've had before because like you know everything already, right? Like you don't have to be trained, and that was so nice. I just like fell right back into step. Things are swell. I'm excited to be back. And my favorite part about working as a waitress is that I get sent home with so much food at the end of the day, and now I don't have to go to the grocery store today like I thought I was going to have to, because I have enough food to last me probably 2 or 3 days, which is so exciting. I also have a package, which I am excited to tell you about. This is not bookish at all. This is the crew neck from Taylor Swift's website, which I missed the drop of like 3 times, and I was so mad, and I was like, okay, well, I'm never gonna get it now because I'm not paying resale prices for a sweatshirt. No way. But I got a notification that it was back in stock. I just happened to be like on my phone right when it happened. So I went on the website, I snagged myself the crew neck. I'm so excited, and I thought we could open it together now. So I'm really thrilled to see what it looks like in real life. I will say I am a little bit bummed that there's no confetti for this album. That just makes me a little bit sad. But it's okay, I understand. We're moving on to different things, so it's fine. Oh, the sun's coming out, that's nice. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Let me tell you about initial impressions. So this is where I'm sitting so close to you, I'm so sorry. This is what we're working with, okay? I will say it's lighter than I thought. Like I thought it would be heavier, but it's not, and that's totally fine. It has the like really soft inside material that if you have some of her other merch, a lot of the sweatshirts have inside just that like soft kind of plushy but very thin layer of fabric. I'm not sure what it actually is. Thank you, Taylor, for restocking these so that I can have one in my home. I'm gonna take this off and then I'm gonna sit back down and then we're gonna talk about the book, okay? Okay, I realized I started talking to you guys about like trying to find a new show to watch. I said I was watching, or at least trying to watch Lock and Key on Netflix, and I wanted to give you an update on that. I watched like 3 or 4 episodes and it just seems like a bit too cheesy for me. Like I like the concept, but it just is like kind of dumb the way that the scenes that are supposed to be scary are executed. So I'm not the biggest fan. I don't think I'm going to continue watching it. Please leave a show recommendation in the comments because I'm desperate. I feel like I watched everything good and I just have nothing left to enjoy. Anyway, now we can talk about They're Going to Love You, which I have such wonderful news for you. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and this is such a momentous occasion in my life because I have never given 2 books in a row 5 stars. Never ever in my life. And that just happened now in this video, which is so crazy, and I'm so excited, and it makes hating You Must Not Miss feel so much better because I got 2 like incredible wins, and I am just over the moon. This book, I think, is my new favorite of the year thus far. This book is going to be difficult for me to talk about just because I feel like I'm having a hard time articulating what made this so incredible for me, like what made this lit fic such an amazing lit fic, if you will. First things first, I will be immediately ordering myself a physical copy of this, and I will be immediately rereading it and annotating it because as I was listening to the audiobook, there were so many lines that I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a physical copy in front of me so I could just highlight these words, because this has some of the most beautiful writing and storytelling that I think I've ever read, and everything in this book felt intentional. Like there were no wasted lines in here. This writing wasn't trying to be beautiful, it just was. And that is the best kind of book in the world. That's what makes me love Sally Rooney so much. That's what makes me love Ishiguro so much. Those are my 2 like favorite authors ever, probably. That's what makes Frederick Bachman's writing so good. And this book did that. And I'm just crying because this author doesn't have a backlist in lit fic. I mean, she has like 2 other books, but I think they're kind of just like random, like they aren't lit fic, I don't think, and I'm not really interested in them, and I'm gonna need her to write something else ASAP. Okay, where to begin? I loved the accuracy of the dance world described in this book. Like, it wasn't trying to be this hopeful story where this very tall woman, because our main character is like 6 foot, I'm pretty sure, gets accepted into the ballet world because she's good. She's good. She's good enough to be a professional dancer, but she is not accepted because she's too tall. And I just appreciated that this author wrote the reality of that like, if you're tall, you ruined your chances of dancing in a ballet company. This author is a former dancer herself. I mean, that added so much validity to everything that she was writing, and I just really appreciated the way she handled the topic. Like I said, this book is not necessarily about dance. This book is about Carlisle and her relationship with her mother, and her relationship with her father, and her relationship with herself as a career woman, as a potential mother if she wants to be, about her desires to fall in love, have a relationship, and how that all balances with her life as a choreographer in the present day and as a dancer trying to find her place in the dance world in the years past. So this book is dance coded, but it's not about dance. I thought the relationships with her parents in here were complex and painful, but also added a very real sense of what it was like to be a child of 2 parents who were separated and who are maybe a little bit more career focused than parent-like, and how that plays into her desires to have children or to not have children throughout the story. And like I said, every single sentiment in here was stunning, just gorgeously written, and I loved this book. So with that said, I would call this video an overall very successful video. I've never had a video where I've had more than 1 5 stars. I've never read 2 5 stars in a row. I am over the moon with joy right now. And I think that wraps up everything that I wanted to say. So thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for supporting my channel. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already. And I'll see you with another video soon. Bye.